This time on Kawaii-Fi Radio, we discover Winnie the Pooh is out of copyright. You can use Winnie the Pooh wherever you like now, just as long as he's not wearing a t-shirt.
Oh, Nike.
Yeah. We discuss how cells at work would handle a bullet wound. I'd laugh if the bullet then has like a face.
Oh.
Hi, my name's Iron.
Oh, like from Mario, you know?
Oh, Bill.
Yeah.
And we compare Belle to old chat sites. Can we see the arena?
Can we see that? Can we see anything other than people just floating around like it's Habbo Hotel?
Ava launch!
Tetsuo! Kaneda!
Oni-chan?
It's over 9,000! Nani?
Configure the language logic interface for Japanese.
Kawaii-Fi. Kawaii-Fi.
Kawaii-Fi Radio!
Konnichiwa and welcome. You're tuned in to Kawaii-Fi Radio, the podcast we dive into the world of anime and manga every fortnight, unless, we forget. I'm Kyle, and joining me are my co-hosts Kira Lee and Kenny. How are you both doing?
I did not forget.
Not this time. It's been a while since we've been able to all get together in studio.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while, Curly. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Heavily pregnant now.
Yes. And you've still got a few months though till delivery.
Yeah, just a few.
Just a few. Almost to the end of the road.
Yep.
Now, this episode, we're talking about the massive juggernaut that is Belle and the studio that is behind it. Now, we've got a full video on the YouTube channel detailing basically the problems this film faces. And you can go look at that. But we're going to look a bit more at just comparing it to Studio Chizu's other works. So we'll get into that in a little bit. So if you are new to the podcast, welcome on board. We've also got those monthly anime videos on our YouTube channel, so links and details in the description. But let's get straight stuck in with the anime that we've been watching.
I have no idea how old I am or where I came from.
Nani? Ohayo!
Hang time! I gotta go!
I have to know. Hooray! I did that thing.
Oni-chan, nani wo miru?
What we're watching.
Now, I said anime, but I lied. Because we're going to K-drama, because that's what you've been viewing while you've been chilling out, hasn't it,
Yeah, I
Curly?
fell into the hole of K-drama and I can't get out.
It is an inescapable abyss. There's a lot of food shows, I've noticed.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, a lot of K-dramas originate from manhwas, which is kind of interesting. This one doesn't, however, and I think it's called The King's Affections.
Yes, that's correct.
Affection?
Affections?
I'm going to Google that. King's Affection, yeah. But yeah, so tell us about this, because this is on Netflix, I believe.
Yeah. So it's on Netflix. There's 20 episodes, and each episode goes for just over an hour, which is really good. Yeah, this one's an original. So it starts off with the Queen, and she's giving birth to twins, male and female. And then the grandfather decides that, it's not good for the son to have shared a womb with a woman. So
What?
We must get rid of the woman and pretend that she never existed. And so then they seem to go along with it, but then the mother sort of whisks the little girl away. And then we cut to when they're older, and she manages to get a job in the royal court, and the two twins end up meeting and realize that they look very similar. They don't know that they're twins, but they're like, wow, you look just like me. Oh my goodness. And because at this point he's like the crown prince pretty much.
Yeah.
And so the crown prince orders her to swap clothes with one another so that he can sort of hop out of the court and have a look around and sort of be free a little bit.
He's pretty comfortable with the cross-dressing then.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, well.
This is set sort of feudal era, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so like 1800s sort
Yeah.
of. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing then something doesn't go right when he goes out and about.
So then the grandfather sort of catches wind that the little girl is still alive. So then he sends his people to go and kill the little girl.
Who is, in fact, not the little girl.
Yeah,
Oh.
at this point, unfortunately, it was the prince dressed up as the little girl, and so they ended up killing the prince and not realizing.
No.
So then the mum goes and says to the little girl that you now are the prince. You have to pretend to be the prince for all of our sakes. That's
This
what
sounds
you gotta
like
do.
if this was like a Japanese manga, it would be Konosuba style, like a comedy of errors style series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine this is too heavy on the comedy.
No, my
Involving the
goodness,
subject
no.
matter?
First 2 episodes, I actually cried quite a lot because it was really sad, like seeing the boy die, and then you see the mum pass away as well later on. So it's basically
The secret's gone.
Yeah.
No one knows. Yeah.
yeah. Well, the little girl who is now the crown prince. You jump forward about like 10, 15 years. So, she's quite, developed now, but, she's still pretending to be the prince. So she has an older handmaid and an
assistant?
an assistant, male assistant. They're the only 2 people who know. That's it. And
Well, I mean, that makes sense if they're in constant close contact.
yeah, exactly. And so he gets the nickname of the Ice Prince and the 5-step Prince because everyone has to keep 5 steps away at all times and trying to keep the secret. But she kind of falls in love with a couple of gentlemen and she kind of suppresses it quite a lot. But then also this gentleman falling in love with the prince and they're kind of like, oh, am I gay? But
Getting a full General Shan from Mulan vibe, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just really, really good. And the grandfather is just absolutely terrifying because he's still
Yeah.
around and he is scary.
You're watching this dubbed, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Is he still scary in the dub?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
they've picked a good voice cast then.
Oh,
Like,
definitely.
dubbing can be pretty tricky in that
Yeah.
regard.
Well, no offense to Netflix, but generally their dubbing's pretty bad.
This is true.
I mean, it could be bad. I don't know whether it's just the story itself that is
You're just so
making it.
invested.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But the grandfather is just wanting to kill anyone who gets in his way, and the prince is just like not wanting to kill anyone because
Yeah.
why?
Just chill. Like that, I think I mentioned to you as well, like this reminds me of that, the other K-drama that I was watching with Emma, which was Kingdom, which is like a feudal zombie apocalypse. And same sort of thing, like it's always about those feuding powers and how they go about it. But look, worth checking out. It's on Netflix. I believe Emma's going to be watching all of it now as well, knowing her. So, yeah, definitely check that out. But let's, we'll go back to scheduled programming, which is anime.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about My Dress Up Darling, which is, I think, as far away from the King's Affection as you can get, realistically.
Yeah.
So, My Dress Up Darling is a series basically about cosplay. It's probably the easiest way to explain it. It's cosplay creation, going to events and so on. And this one, when I heard it was getting released and I saw the character, I went, that looks a lot like some of the other mangas I read. So I started reading it. It's so good.
Yeah, I've been thoroughly enjoying it. It's certainly got sort of the pervy element, considering the subject matter. The main girl wants to cosplay as characters from
Adult games, I think is
adult
probably the
games and
easiest way to
stuff.
explain it. Yep.
which is hilarious. You see her talking about it, and the guy's like, no, she's putting this on. She must be doing this to mess with me. And then he looks up at her face. Oh, God, she's entirely serious.
See, the thing is, as well as like, that's the first outfit. And then other outfits follow. And they're not what you'd expect. They are all over the shop.
You sort of see a few of them in the opening bit. So you get an idea of the weird stuff
Well,
to come.
one's from a Magical Girl series, and one of them's from a fighting game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's cool.
And they all have, elements of perviness to them, as you'd expect.
But I think there is actually an element to that. I don't think the perviness detracts from anything. Like, it's not like, what would you say?
High School DxD.
High School DxD or something of the Dead. What was it again?
Yeah, High School of the Dead.
High School of the
Yeah,
Dead. It's not like those where it's just sort of tacked on there for fan service to get eyeballs on it. It feels like there is a genuineness to it. It's these two people, the main characters. One is very, very passionate about what he does, but very, very shy about sharing it. Whereas the girl is very passionate about what she loves and is very open about it and very defensive with it. And I think there is a whole lesson in this which is healthy in a way. I think the ecchi stuff is just sort of, what would you call it, window dressing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I'll ruin this a bit, but it's already set on like all the information, but it is listed as a romance.
Yeah.
So, it kind of makes sense with what we've seen in the recent trend of romance animes and mangas and so on for it to be a little bit fan servicey. I'm going to sneeze now. Am I?
Well, he sneezed. Find out in the next episode.
My. No, it was not a delicious sneeze. Excuse me. I just love. There's that scene in the first episode where they're at like a hair salon, the main girl, and one of the other girls who's her friend's telling the story about how this guy approached her and he was really good looking and all that. And he started up the conversation by basically having a go at the fact that she had like a charm from an anime
on her
thing.
bag, yeah.
And she just gave him the ugliest face. She's like,
hey, is that from a game or something? Are you a total nerd? You suck.
And it's got a dub coming too. Funimation are dubbing it, so that's definitely going to be worth checking out. It's
interesting to see where this goes. I reckon this is going to be one of those instant classic kind of animes.
Oh, definitely. Her face is just everywhere already.
Oh, man, everyone loves Marin. And I don't blame her. Like, from a character standpoint, like, there's very few characters I've seen in recent years in the romance field that haven't had something that makes you kind of go, you're a little bit off. In her case, it's just she's super passionate about something and she doesn't care if you see parts of her body while she's doing it because she's that passionate about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite refreshing. It's very, body positive.
Yeah, I think she has quite a unique look as well. Mm-hmm. Like being a gal.
Yeah. Oh, wait till she gets tanned. It happens for just, it'll be like basically the equivalent of one episode. It's about 3 chapters and it's for a cosplay. And it's magnificent. It works so well. But look, Dress Up Darling on Funimation, dub incoming. Manga, I believe, is released by Viz. I just found it at a local store, so go check it out. And that brings us, I was going to say, on the note of ugly faces given to people, has anyone seen the ugly face from Attack on Titan recently?
Yes! I've seen a great cosplay of it as well.
I believe I've seen the same one.
You're going to have to share that with me. So Attack on Titan's back, obviously. It's the final season, part 2 of 3, because there is a film which is going to finish off all of it, apparently. Yep, I know. Why did you call it the final season? Shouldn't have bothered. Because, and... I
mean, just because it's the final season doesn't mean it's the final thing.
Yeah, but it's like, how they say, like, from the creators of New Folder and New Folder 2 is New Folder 3.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's just like, just stop adding new numbers to the end of it and just name it what it should be. But I think kind of what's frustrating me is that Crunchyroll and Funimation are once again promoting it like this is the end. And it's like, if any of you did your most basic research, you know it's not.
Yeah.
Like, there's news articles saying there's a film incoming and that it is canonical film, not a recap film.
Right.
So, no.
Well, I mean, technically, they're not wrong. It is like the last season.
Mm-hmm, but they're saying that this is going, will this all be resolved by the end of this season? It's like, no, of course it won't. We know it won't.
Yeah, true.
And they've said that they're going to stick, very faithfully to the manga, according to Mappa. But, we're getting, especially with the most recent episode that came out this week, we're getting really into the depths of the lore that have been created for Attack on Titan. And it's really good. Like, people are not going to universally love the end, just like people who are reading the manga didn't.
Yeah, of course.
And I can understand that because it does go a little bit intellectual. Because it starts using things around the idea of consciousness and stuff like that is probably the easiest way to say it without ruining anything.
And, everyone's got a different opinion on that sort of.
So it's going to be interesting to see how people interpret it. Like, because how we've seen like everyone trying to push the ratings of Attack on Titan up so it beats Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and it's never going to happen. For starters, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood's 50 episodes, and all of it is getting rated at once, and it's up that high. And this, you've got seasons of Attack on Titan, and none of them are hitting that mark. So
It's look, I don't like the idea of comparing one anime to another and stuff like that, but I think they both have their place in the top of the list.
I
Yeah.
just mean that Mal's rating system's broken.
Oh, yeah.
Because with the way my anime list works is you rate the individual seasons, and my Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood was just one season. So therefore, Attack on Titan gets, 8 attempts to knock it off the top. It just seems a bit weird. It's like, if the previous seasons weren't great, if they're only a 7.5 or 7.6, you can hardly say that the new seasons are 9.2.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, that's just me being a grumpy old man. Just like with the anime awards.
Oh, but would you say that, like, we've all watched a lot of Attack on Titan, could you say that it is better or as good as Brotherhood?
No.
No?
I look, I'd still say it's an amazing anime, but Attack on Titan's pacing goes all over the shop.
Ooh.
Whereas
Yeah.
Brotherhood's is very consistent the whole way through.
I agree, but I'm the same as you, Kenton. I can't compare them because they're different. The stories are different.
Yeah.
Like, you can't,
I like story-wise, they're both magnificent,
Well,
but
yeah.
and this is the thing. Like, I love going into the deep nitty-gritty critical and looking at the pacing and how they structure things and so
Yeah.
on. And that's just the way my head works. And for me, that's what I kind of look at. I go, okay,
Right.
how well does the story flow? Does it? Do you feel like you've lulled? Are there moments where you struggle to get through episodes and stuff like that? And I've had that a few times, especially during season 2 of Attack on Titan, when we had that whole arc with the tower inside the walls surrounded by the Titans.
Do you think they could have condensed it so that
yeah.
it wasn't?
Yeah, like this, and that's the thing. Like, that's the difference between Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood and the manga. The manga actually kind of meanders a bit more,
Right.
Whereas the adaptation we got is very straight through, and it cuts out all the filler.
Yeah.
And I think because I watched so much Naruto and I'm so done with filler
Fair enough.
that I want them, like, it's like, you've got a good story, you've got a great concept, don't drag it out for cash. And that's why I'm getting annoyed with Rent a Girlfriend's manga, because it's like we've had 40 chapters and nothing's really happened, and now it's just like everyone's complaining, the ratings are going down, and suddenly an event has happened.
I mean, I can actually agree with you thinking about it now for Attack on Titan. There is bits where they're like, we've only got 5 minutes until that Titan reaches us. Let me tell you my backstory for half an hour.
Yeah.
And then by the time he's finished, oh God, we got 4 minutes till that Titan comes get us.
Yeah. So,
Hey,
like,
sir, let me tell you my backstory. Okay, you're there.
yeah. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like, there is a place for, doing backstories and telling it, and they're doing it quite well in the current season. But I think they kind of dragged their feet a little bit with some of the older ones, where they could have been a bit more efficient with how they told the story.
Right.
Because we've discussed this many times, you and I, Kenny, is that when you transition something from one media form to another, you do have to make adaptations so it fits that media form.
Of course, yeah.
And like, you look at books like the Harry Potter franchise, for instance, the amount of content that is in the books that doesn't make it into the film, while it might frustrate some of us, it makes it so that the film's pacing is really good the whole way through.
Though
Yeah.
sometimes if you were to take, say, Lord of the Rings, and I am probably going to upset a purist out there, they removed a bunch of stuff from the Lord of the Rings books that didn't make it into movies, like Tom Bombadil is this random character in the books who they sort of stumble upon, who is basically an all-powerful genie that spends his days skipping through meadows while his house is
Yeah.
next to a horrifying burial ground for monsters.
Yeah.
He has this hot blonde wife, and he just spends his days singing and dancing around. He could have accompanied the Fellowship with the ring, and they would have had no problems at all if he only gave a damn.
But this
He's
is
not
the thing.
in the movie.
Well,
because
he's not in the movies.
It would have been just a massive tone shift from them being chased by ring wraiths to, hey, the day, finding a bloody leprechaun.
But I mean, like, it's the same sort of thing with, like, when we see, like, for instance, when they go into the forests in the start of the second book.
Yeah.
Like, they spend a lot of time describing the forest that information. But on screen, that's about 3 seconds. Like you don't need to go, the wood was brown.
Yeah, that's just Tolkien though. He gives a description for every tree he comes across.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like this is what I'm saying. Like you don't need to adapt everything. You just need to adapt the core story. And sometimes, I mean, because we do have the issue at the moment with anime and the time frame it takes to develop them with COVID and all that, we get delays. We do see a lot more filler at the moment than we normally would. So it'll be interesting to see how it kind of pans out towards the end of this season with Attack on Titan, because I don't think MAPPA's got a great deal of shows that they're working on this season, which is quite interesting. Whereas Cloverworks, once again, has 3, and in my humble opinion, only Dress Up Darling stands out.
For the sheer amount of hype they've given Attack on Titan, you can be certain they would be putting a lot of attention onto this. They want to get this right. Otherwise, they are looking at a Promised Neverland situation.
Yeah. That being said, though, they had like the trailer for this episode, for this season's first 3 episodes already out like 12 months ago. So we already knew that they'd created most of it. So I'm hoping that MAPPA's actually already finished making the whole thing and is now just releasing it. And the staff are just like, yeah, we're done. We're on the next project.
Yeah, well, working on the movie.
We're already at the beach.
We're at the beach. It's amazing here. Do you see there's a girl fishing? But Attack on Titan is pretty much on everything at the moment, so go check it out. Crunchyroll, Funimation, the whole shebang. If you've been watching something interesting this fortnight, something new, something old, chuck it in the comment section below or over on our social media on the episode preview post. Now, that means we do have to get stuck into the main topic of this episode, and that is Belle and Studio Chizu.
Kawaii-Fi Radio. We'll be there on time. There's 20 minutes of ads.
Cinema Club.
Alrighty. Now...
Spoiler alert. I hate it.
Spoiler alert. I did not enjoy it either.
Curly, your time for spoiler alert.
I did not watch it.
Oh, that bad, eh?
No.
Kidding.
Well, the thing is that when we've had so when Belle landed in cinemas here in Perth, it was during so I think we've mentioned this before, but we've been very lucky in Western Australia that we've hardly had much Omicron spread. Our state government is focused on, sorry, not Omicron, COVID spread. So our state government focused on an elimination strategy, and it's worked so far. We'll see how it works going forward, but we had a Omicron incident, and that made everything kind of go lockdowny, and we just didn't want to kind of all risk rushing out at once. And Kiralee, with you obviously being pregnant, it's not wise to put you in harm's way.
No.
Exactly.
So we decided, we'd all go and see it where and when we could. And me and Kenny managed to go and see it. The rest of the team, I think Aaron has seen it.
I think so.
But he's at work at the moment. Aaron's doing insane hours until I think mid-February. So he will be back soon, I promise. He has bought us a Giga pudding for the YouTube channel, and there is a video coming for that. So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, go over and hit that button as well. But we all went and saw Belle where we could, and if we couldn't, then we kind of just talked about it and explained the story plot and all that. And I think, first things first, Belle is probably the most beautiful film Studio Chizu's ever made. Like, visually, it's probably the most stunning thing I've seen them do. You look at the backgrounds, you look at the flow of animation, character design is still kept quite simple, but it looks nice. And the CG in it is probably the best I've seen outside of UFO Table, which are the guys who do Demon Slayer and whatnot. What Fate Grand Order, that's the one, the
Yes.
Fate universe. And it might surprise you to hear this, but the person who designed Belle's character designed characters for Frozen.
That is a little surprising, huh?
Yeah. I didn't realize this until I was reading up on it a few days back, and I was like, wait, what?
So what,
And
the studio just, knock on Disney's door and say, hey, can we borrow that one?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he designed like the main characters, but he's part of the 3D design team. So I don't know if he was like the lead designer or just part of the development team or what. Who knows?
I mean, considering a bunch of the stuff that happens in it, it wouldn't surprise me if they really wanted to get on Disney's good side for this.
Yeah.
Considering, so the story of Belle is lifted directly from the original of Beauty and the Beast, the original French variation of Beauty and the Beast. And there are scenes in it which ape the Disney movie.
Yeah.
There is the ballroom scene,
shot for shot,
down to the camera angles, and I don't know why, but I felt like that was treating me like I was an idiot.
So look, Belle, So, interesting thing, a couple of things we need to get out of the way here. So, 2021 Japanese animated sci-fi film written and directed by Hosoda Mamoru, produced by Studio Chizu of the fame of, Wolf Kids, Wolf Children,
Summer Wars, Boy and Beast. Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Mirai Mirai.
Girl Who Leapt Through Time was their kind of... It was their first film they did as a group before leaving Madhouse, which is where they were originally, and then they spurred off and created their own studio specifically for this. Now, this came out in July 2021, and it was released, its premiere was at the Cannes Film Festival, and it's been really well received by critics.
Allegedly
it had a standing ovation.
A standing ovation at Cannes.
Yeah, 14 minutes. I think it's the 5th longest standing ovation of all time at the Cannes Film Festival.
I don't understand what they were clapping for.
Neither do I, because it pays a lot of lip service without resolving things. And we'll get into that in a moment. Now, the Japanese name, and this is sort of important, is Ryu to Sobakasu no Hime. Sobakasu? It shouldn't be a U. Ryu to Sobas no Hime. It literally means the dragon and the freckled princess. However, outside of Japan, it's called Belle to play on the Beauty and the Beast themes. Now, there's a lot of problems with Belle, and we've got a full video on that on the channel, so go watch that out. It's full of memes. It's great. But I think for me, the biggest problem I have with Belle is that it suggests that Hosoda doesn't understand what happens online.
I'm sorry, that's your biggest problem with it. I mean, that's fair enough.
Like, it's one of many issues, but the one which I think is most glaring to me is that he doesn't understand how online world works, and he should. Because he was the director of the original Digimon movie. He was the director of Summer Wars.
Which is very much like the first bit of the Digimon movie, let's be honest.
Do you think they've just neglected this and more sort of gone for the visuals and the music and also the play with Beauty and the Beast to hit the Western market?
Bingo.
So then they can get like the nominations and all of that sort of stuff.
Here's a bit of background information. Mirai premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, which was the last film they did, but it wasn't at the Cannes Film Festival. It was outside at a event which was occurring at the same time for the groups that couldn't get into Cannes.
Right.
And he got a lot of interest and a lot of international attention through it. And that's why Mirai performed really well.
Mirai was beautiful. I don't know. Did you see that one, Kirli?
No, but I like seen trailers and stuff like that.
It seems to be a bit of a mixed bag, Mirai, as far as public opinion goes. A lot of hardcore anime fans don't like it. A lot of them do. It's a bit of a mixed bag depending on what you like. Same sort of thing as like Weathering with You. I loved Weathering with You, but a lot of people don't seem to like it.
I mean, fair enough, to each their own. But Mirai I found quite beautiful. And so I could see it sort of fitting in at Cannes Film Festival. It felt like it had a good message. But this one, it feels like they were like, oh, we didn't do great at Cannes with Mirai, so let's make the most Oscar-baity thing we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is kind of
like if that's
the issue.
The aim of your anime is to make
qualify for awards.
Qualify at a place with a bunch of rich people.
Is it just to set them up, though, for the future, though? Like, having that one to then, like, set them up a little bit?
Here's the thing.
Tactically, that would make sense, actually. I see the logic in that.
Belle has now become Studio Chizu's highest-grossing film, but only just.
Right.
And it's finished its run in Japan. It's finished its run in the States. The only place left is the smaller international markets. And that suggests that I think it only earned $3 million in the States. So it's not going to, like, don't get me wrong, it's still good money. You're not going to, put your nose up at it. But compared to, if it was doing, like, Demon Slayer numbers, sure, it's nowhere near it. So, like, I get what they tried to do, and they tried to appeal to the international market. But the problem is that the Beauty and the Beast element of the story doesn't work.
I don't understand it at all, because why do they care about each other, the main characters?
Well, here's the thing. No motive is given for anything. The only reason that we think the film works is because we're aware of Beauty and the Beast. And if you give it to someone who's never seen Beauty and the Beast, which is hard, like seen it, read it, or been aware of it because it's such an old folktale. If someone who hadn't seen it was watching it purely without that information, they go, why are they chasing the beast?
This is practically part of my ethos for like judging films and TV and writing and stuff like that is if you need the extra homework on top of your movie, you have failed to tell a good story.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the thing with Beauty and the Beast, with even just the Disney one. I was asking one of my D&D mates about this last night. I asked him to regale me why Belle and Beast care about each other. And he says, he imprisoned her father in a tower and then imprisoned her as part of a deal to get him out. And then when they sort of started to get closer, he pushed her away, but then realized his mistake, went to save her. She saves him right back. They develop a bond. He realizes that he wants to do nicer things for her, so they start sharing each other's time, start sharing each other's passions. There is an actual relationship there in the animated Disney version.
Yeah. And I mean, look, and let's be honest, animated Disney version takes a lot of liberties from the original source material. And that's fair, but that's the one most people are going to be aware of.
There are differences. There is a live-action French version of the old French thing.
Dude, you should see how many versions of Beauty and the Beast are out there. I have found over 50.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught one on SBS.
Yeah, it's nuts. Oh. But here's the thing.
It's one of those stories that is just easy to do and appeals to a certain emotion.
But in the case of Belle, it's like someone just read the Cliff Notes and used that as how to plan their plot.
Yes.
So there is no character development, no relationship development between Belle and Dragon. So and that's a huge problem because you're banking on this idea of people going, oh yeah, they should be together and blah, you know.
And going back to what you said about them not really understanding the online world, in Summer Wars, you got a glimpse of what it meant to be online, of all the different sort of spaces and games that you would interact with each other in. In this, you hear them talk about how Dragon is like this awesome fighter in the arenas and stuff like that. And you're like, cool.
Can we see the arena?
Can we see that? Can we see anything other than people just floating around like it's Habbo Hotel? Yeah. Can we see this online world that you've talked up more than just the lobby?
Yeah, and this is like one of my biggest criticisms for Belle's idea of you. You is simply a place for the story to happen in. That's all it is. And they've sold it as if it's such a core, important part of the film, but nothing happens in it.
Yeah,
you don't
make
see
us care
people
about the world
doing anything in it. You don't. How the Beast has his own castle, yet no one else has player homes or unique environments. Like, what's going on with that?
I mean, all those skyscrapers, the like formless, featureless skyscrapers.
You mean the 1980s knockoff of a circuit board, which is the VR edition?
Yeah, it looks like it looks like Tron, original Tron.
Yeah.
And look, don't be wrong, nothing wrong with doing that, but you need variety. You can't say 5 billion people, half the world's population have logged into this to look at a circuit board. Like, there's got to be entertainment, things to make it seem like it's living. You can't just have people wandering from point A to point B.
Have you people seen the stuff that is invented on VR chat and stuff like that?
Well, I go directly into that on my video. It's so bad. It's really funny. Like, most of the things you've brought up are things that I've said in the script for the video as well.
Great minds think alike and all that kind of stuff.
Fools never differ. That's what we do. But look, I mean, whatever your stance is, if you're going into Belle to see for the music and for the visuals, and you're happy to rely on your existing knowledge of Beauty and the Beast, you'll enjoy it. But it won't have a rewatch value, because if you go to rewatch it, you'll start
thinking about it,
noticing all the problems, start thinking about how does this work. There's so many inconsistencies, like how you even log into you and interact with it. You go from it being a VR environment to being able to plug your earbuds in and run from the beach to the school while interacting in both the real world and that environment.
They sort of give the impression that it's a lot like the VR helmets from Sword Art Online, that you are laying down or sitting down and losing control of your body while you take control of an avatar. But then at certain points, they're walking around in the street or running to places while they are in the cyber world. It's just like, hold on. Yet there's a lot of stuff like this all throughout where they explain it loosely and then sort of deviate entirely from the rules.
But I mean, that's the thing. You can take liberties with technology in films as long as it makes sense. Like, look at Pacific Rim, like drift compatibility.
I hate it, but
here's the
continue.
thing: drift compatibility actually has a scientific basis, and that's the thing. They didn't need to go. They just went, okay, this is what it is, and this is how it works, and then they stuck to those rules, and that's so important. Like, if you're going to build a world, you've got to have it governed by rules, and you've got to follow those rules. And Belle just
and if you're going to break those rules, it should be significant. This breaks its own rules constantly as though it was second nature.
Belle goes, there's a rule, but will it look better if I do it this way? Then let's do it that way. And because of that, it's a spectacle. It's like, if you see this on the big screen, you'll be like, whoa. But if you actually turn your brain on to think about it during it, you'll kind of be a bit disappointed. And I considered walking out. That's how
it was getting frustrating. Don't get me wrong. Like you said, beautiful, especially when they are not in the online world. When it's the real world stuff, they have presented such a beautiful vision of Japan.
The confession scene between the two side characters who get almost no story time is hands down the best part of the film.
It's like a still wide shot
in a train station
of just the two people sort of talking to each other from like 6 feet away and moving around each other on a scene. It's like watching a play. It's great. That whole bit is like singularly the best part of the movie.
Also, like, they start talking about Belle.
Yeah.
And Suzu's in this scene, and she's like away because she's like, finally they've gotten together, sort of thing. Not quite, but if you watch the film, you know what I mean. And she's at the far away, and they start talking about Belle, and she starts having the blood drained out of her face. You just see her gradually decolor and slowly back away. And it's just,
everything in the scene looks so natural and is so alive as they sort of interact with each other. Even the people who aren't directly interacting, like Suzu sort of reacting to what they're saying and drifting up from side. It's a perfect scene in an otherwise very flawed movie.
Like, I could see that in like a Makoto Shinkai film.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, yeah, it could be in like the next Your Name, whatever that's going to be. Apparently, he's working on that one already, so I can't wait for that.
I think he's like Miyazaki. The guy just doesn't stop working.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think when he retires, he's going to keep working.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, look, when I retire, I'll keep working, so I'm not that old yet. I've still got another, 30, 40 years, but, you know, when I get to that point, I'll probably keep going. This kind of brings us to what we want to talk about with Studio Chizu. Now, if you have a look at Studio Chizu, they've done a lot of interesting stuff over the years. Like, they've won 3 Japan Academy Prizes for Animation of the Year.
Big deals.
Now, their image for the studio is the image for The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, which was Hosoda's film that he directed in 2006. So it's all been founded by these guys, and they both had ties to Madhouse. So a lot of the stuff that they did is connected to Madhouse from before that. So Wolf Children was the first one that was internally just theirs. Summer Wars, technically Madhouse.
Okay.
Same with Brains Died.
Girl Who
Leapt Through Time.
Boy and the Beast.
Boy and the Beast
theirs?
was theirs. And that was both directed and written by Hosoda.
Right.
So Boy and Beast, Mirai, and Belle. So the previous 2 films have shown he can handle difficult, high-level concepts.
Yeah, because I really liked Boy and the Beast.
I haven't fully watched it yet, so I need to base my opinions on others' opinions so far until I watch it.
Well, I mean, the Rotten Tomato ratings for all of their films are above 85%. So Wolf Children is 95, Boy and Beast is 88, Mirai is 90, and Belle is 95. Yeah, no. I think we'll see a more accurate representation of what Belle's rated in about 6 months' time when it goes to digital.
Yeah.
Because we'll have more people who are not, going to it because of the hype around it, who are going to it out of curiosity. And that's always the test as to whether a film stands up.
And people going back to it as well, thinking that it was so amazing, and then maybe realizing that, oh, wait, actually.
But, I mean, this is the thing, like, what Belle does really well is what Disney's recent musical films does really well. And that attracts a very certain demographic and a very specific age group. And there's nothing wrong with that.
They just make it shiny and glittery, so it's like dancing keys in front of
Yeah, but I mean...
Sorry, I am bitter.
You are bitter. Look, you're probably the most bitter beer I've ever had. But it's been successful for Disney, and others are trying that formula now. And
I guess.
it makes sense. You look at the ratings, you look at the interest and the hype that's been built around Belle. For Studio Chizu, this is nothing but good, and hopefully that means that going forward, they can then use what they've learnt from this to make stronger films.
All right, but if their next film is Cinderella, I'm going to be very upset.
Well, I don't think Cinderella has come out of copyright ruling yet. No. I know, what, is it 200 years?
100 years after the author's death.
Yeah, 100 years. Okay, well, then, yeah, it's definitely well out of print now.
Hey, Winnie the Pooh is as well.
Yeah, but not the animated Winnie the Pooh. So you can use Winnie the Pooh wherever you like now, just as long as he's not wearing a t-shirt.
Oh, Nike.
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh is only allowed to be naked.
It's a bit of a concerning thought.
Okay, what is an anime Winnie the Pooh? Oh my god, would that be like Yuru Camp?
I mean,
Like anime Winnie the Pooh.
Well, I mean, we see how often they do Sherlock, because obviously with the Arthur Conan Doyle being passed away and
Naturally.
the rights being free use and open now, I'll be interested to see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Winnie the Pooh film in the next 5 years out of Japan.
I've seen like a horror version of Winnie the Pooh. And I'm like, oh, damn. I hope this is made.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah.
Is it kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's?
No, because what's the boy's name?
Christopher Robin.
Yeah, Christopher Robin. He's basically like the serial killer, and basically it's like the Winnie the Pooh and like all of the other like and Eeyore and that. They're like he basically like tortures them and like is in his own mind that he is those like kids.
Oh, that's horrifying.
It's like really great. There's like there's somebody's like actually done it and somebody's made like a artwork for it and it looks really, really good. And like Tigger, the person who is Tigger, the person who is Tigger only has one leg because he only bounces on his tail.
That makes sense.
It's like,
where did you find this?
To any
Facebook.
To any parents listening, sorry.
Oh, how many childhoods did you just kill? That is wonderful.
But look, I mean, we've gone well off topic as we tend to do here. But back to Studio Chizu. So this all started in 2012, and it tends to be about a 3-year cycle for them between films. So 2012, 2015, 2018, 2021. So the next one we'll expect maybe 2024, 25, depending on COVID.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'll be interested to see how they do this. And Belle, if you're looking for basically a Japanese-style Disney film, Belle's probably the closest we've got. Like, they used to say that Ghibli's Disney of the East, but when you have a look thematically, they're very different.
Yeah.
I think this is the closest we'll ever get to say something that's like Frozen, Encanto, or any of the similar ones that have come out since.
I've heard very good things about Encanto offhandedly.
I have many of the songs stuck in my head. Yep.
I hear that as like the main big negative criticism. Is I can't get it out of my head.
But so this is the thing, like Encanto and Moana were both. I think it was Moana. Was written by the guy who did. What's that massive stage play that they did? The alternative history of the founding of the US. Hamilton.
Hamilton, yes.
Yeah. So one of the guys who helped write Hamilton's music is on board at Disney. And that's why these are so catchy and so commercially successful, these songs.
Wonder.
Yeah. And that's why they get stuck in your head. And because he's been attached to Hamilton, Hamilton fans are willing to now check out these Disney animated films to see what they look like because of the music.
That is a deviously manipulative ploy, and I have to give it my respect.
Yeah. I mean, look, if something's huge, ride that train where you can. That's why we're doing an episode about Belle.
Hey, give us views and stuff.
Yeah, everyone's going to be like, yeah, we're not subscribing because you bad talked the film we watched. It's like, yeah, but look, just go watch it again. I implore you, go watch it on digital and look at it from a critical point of view, like from a storytelling.
Measure the positive criticisms and the negatives together.
Mean, don't be wrong. Beautiful, stunning. Music's pretty good. The first song's definitely the strongest.
Yeah,
by a country mile.
I was playing it in my car when I was driving home yesterday. The soundtrack. Certain songs definitely stand out, like the first, but they kind of peter off a bit.
Well, they do, and I think they kind of kept them like
They
a
definitely
little bit.
started with their ace.
Well, they went, what's the biggest one we can use? Okay, we'll use that. And then we need a second massive song for the climax. And then everything else in between needs to reflect the scene it's in. And it does work in that regard.
Right.
But standalone, they don't feel as powerful as the other two. But I'm not going to... There's a lot I could say about the film, but I can't without spoiling it. And more than anything, it's to do with like the themes that it tries to tackle, including probably the easiest way to explain it. I think it's fair to say basically domestic violence, and that's not something you can touch lightly. You've got to have a very measured and thoughtful approach to how you're going to do that and how you're going to resolve it.
And I'll be honest, like without going into the spoiler territory, I honestly think they failed.
They did.
They, gave it a face. They showed it to be a problem, but
nothing's resolved.
Yeah, they don't say like anything about how that problem is to be approached or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like a thing that a lot of shows are doing these days. The ones that are sort of trying to preach a message is saying, this thing's bad. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going, yes, we know. What should we do about it? This thing's bad. Look at how bad the thing is.
This thing's bad. What should we do about it? Be better. No.
Thank you for the advice. Yeah, it's if you're going to like touch on a big serious issue like this,
you've got to do it properly.
Cover it from every aspect.
Yeah, and like the more you cover it lazily, the more people don't understand the magnitude of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, look, if you want to check out Belle, it is in cinemas in some places still. I think if you're in the States, you might be hot out of luck. The UK, I think only the Odeon cinemas have it, which is fairly standard.
I'm willing to place some money that Netflix will snap this one up.
Well, it's interesting you say that because Funimation did not have the release rights for Australia. And to my knowledge, they didn't have the release rights for cinema in America either.
What the hell?
So I think it's been done through like Roadshow Pictures. It's G-Kids, so it tends to be like an independent. G-Kids will do the translations and the international release, just like they do with the Ghibli films, but they won't go through the normal streaming providers. Because you have a look, you don't find Ghibli stuff on like Funimation.
No.
Yeah, that's...
I am never going to understand the whole international distribution thing. It seems...
Highest bidder. That's basically it. Or we have an existing agreement with that company. They'll do it for cheaper than the others would because we've agreed that they will always get the films. So, yeah. But look, I mean, it works out well because everything we've seen with G-Kids since they took over the Ghibli stuff is that they do a good job of the dubbing, of the translation, and of the casting. And I'll be honest, like everything I've seen of the dub, because I saw it subbed in the cinemas, but you have a look online for the dub, it's actually really well done.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Because G-Kids released like the first 3 minutes of it and the scene where where Dragon's introduced. So it's pretty good to show like the quality of the voice acting.
Actually, no, wait, that's another thing we have to go back and talk about. I mean, I believe you might cover this in your video, their whole how your avatar is picked thing.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Let's just leave it at that.
In the opening, there is whales, and in one of the concerts, there is whales. Are those people? Did people enter the game as whales? Because you don't get to choose what you look like in this world.
But you do.
Well,
because you upload a picture, and everyone would upload memes. Let's be honest here. Everyone would upload Ugandan Knuckles.
A few people are going to upload, the picture of themselves at like a job or something. Like, people would upload their Facebook picture. Mm-hmm. Other people would upload pictures of an anime character.
Yep.
And you people with your anime profile picture, you know who you are, and I love you.
And that's you.
But that's the thing. There is definitely going to be diversity on what people are going to look like, but not to the weird degree that there is in this show.
I mentioned...
Are the whales people or not?
I'm more interested in Cat Biscuit.
Oh, yes.
Yep, it's a weird-looking biscuit that is shaped like a phone and a cat. It's, I'm like, how did you get that?
What
There's also a
happened to
guy
you?
who's a bucket.
What happened to him?
And then there's several packs of playing cards and individual cards. I'm sitting there going, biometrics don't tell you about people's behaviors as far as like interests go. They tell you about like movements and gestures and whatnot. They tell you about the physical dimensions of the body. They tell you about the stuff that Fitbit will collect or your Apple Watch.
It's the stuff we were talking about before, how they make a rule but then stick to it about as rigidly as old glue.
Mm-hmm. I want to know, like, because we see so many things that are not humanoid shape. I'm sitting there going, is everyone photographing plush toys?
What happened?
Is that what's going on here? But yeah, look, go watch the video. If you have seen the film, it's full of spoilers for the film, so just be aware of that. But I do a pretty deep dive in there with like how these things are implied to work and how they actually do work and what we can then take away from that. But yeah, look, Belle, it's worth a look. I wouldn't rush to see it.
Walk, don't run to see Belle.
Walk, don't run. Love that phrase. No offense to anyone enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, fantastic.
To each their own.
To each their own,
course.
but we want a bit more depth in our storytelling, I think, more than anything else. And on that note, let's go talk about something controversial.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Tonight on Anime Communique.
Great story, compelling and rich.
Nothing brings ratings up like a little controversy.
I thought we weren't allowed to talk about controversial stuff.
We just did for half an hour.
Fair enough. I have a list of controversies.
Now, Anime Communique, as always, plenty going on in the world of anime news. Not as much as usual the past fortnight, and that's kind of typical at this point of the anime season. We don't tend to get announcements for new shows or sequels, normally till about the start and ends of the quarters. So we're kind of in that lull point, but there has been a few interesting things. And we might as well start with cinema, because the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero film is finally getting an international release. And it's been doing quite well at the Japanese box office. Now it's going to be launching in 1,500 theaters in the US and Canada on March 18. And we're also getting it in Australia, New Zealand in March as well. Different times for different areas, and I believe the UK is also getting it as well.
Fantastic.
So proper international release over March and April. Coming soon to theatres in UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, France, Germany, Belgium, Luxembourg, Austria, Switzerland, Sweden, Finland, Netherlands, French-speaking Africa, and Latin America. And additional territories to be announced at a later date. So they're going full bang with it. And because it's a Crunchyroll series, Crunchyroll have the rights for putting it out. So anywhere Crunchyroll have a streaming service, you can pretty much bet you're going to get it in the cinema.
I definitely rely on Crunchyroll more than other streaming services.
They're all the same now, so you know it's they've completed his face. He is finished. Funny Roll is here to stay.
What?
Haven't you seen the meme? So the Funimation logo is the smiley face, but no eyes, and people then just go put the eyes from Crunchyroll for his eyes. I think I made that meme years ago.
Sounds like a horrible Frankenstein, but sure.
Yeah. So Jujutsu Kaisen Zero film. Oh, what? Completely unrelated, but someone's went and superimposed Komi's face, like just the top half of her eyes from Komi Can't Communicate over Marin's face from Dress Up Darling. With that awfully cheesy, sneaky grin. Love it. Jujutsu Kaisen Zero Tokyo Prefectural Jujutsu High School is a manga prequel story, and Mappa is animating it again with Toho distributing it.
Almost as big as Demon Slayer.
It is. And I think once we get to season 2, if they do head down that track, I think it will end up being as big. This is not doing as good as Demon Slayer did at the cinemas, and that's to be expected because Demon Slayer is just a juggernaut. And to be fair, based on the current season, I'm really glad I kept watching it.
What do you guys think's better, Demon Hunter or Jujutsu Kaisen?
Ooh. I'm going to say Demon Slayer for me.
I'm going to say Demon Slayer.
I say Jujutsu Kaisen.
Wait till you see this new season, because you haven't seen you haven't seen Infinity Train yet. Yeah.
Okay, but if you're like comparing
if you're comparing just season 1 to 1, it's about equal footing. Like the Boogie Woogie fight in Jujutsu Kaisen is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. If you're just comparing the first seasons, definitely equal footing.
I feel like it's more gritty, Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen is definitely more gritty. I think it also has it's got a bit of added bonus that it's in a more modern setting as well.
Yeah.
So it makes things a lot more
contemporary and relatable.
Relatable. That's what I'm looking for.
I guess, yeah.
But don't get me wrong, I love them equally. And it says a lot when I really struggled to get through the last few episodes of season 1 of Demon Slayer, but I haven't struggled at all with the new season.
Okay.
Like, it's perfect.
And both of them have adorable sidekick characters. I mean, in Demon Slayer, you have Nezuko, who is a small, and in Jujutsu Kaisen, you have Panda Man.
I love Panda Sensei. But yes, so this is going to be out everywhere that they can. It did really well. It opened on December 24th in Japan, and I think over that time it sold over 5.5 million tickets, 7 billion yen. So that's
I'd say they made their money back.
$67 million in just the 18 days since it opened.
Wow.
It is the 80th highest earning film in the Japanese box office history, and it is staying in the cinemas, to my knowledge, for another month and a half.
I'm sorry, it got billions of dollars.
Billions of yen.
Okay.
Yeah, millions of dollars.
And that's the 8th or 80th, did you say?
80th at the moment. Now, to put that in perspective, it also then opened at IMAX as well. So that's caused people to go back to see it again. And this is, it's opened since this article came out.
Seeing an anime in IMAX would be pretty special.
Yeah. It's earned $23.5 million in its first 3 days.
Jeez.
So it topped the box office charts for the opening weekend. So it's going to be fine. It's not going to struggle.
I mean, I don't think that was ever in doubt, but wow.
I don't think it's going to get it's not going to hit Demon Slayer levels. Nothing will. Demon Slayer is now number 1. Even Belle's nowhere near it. Yeah. But it's going to go there. It'll be in the top 50. It will do well. But that takes us off from there to, I mentioned, I was going to go talk about the Ghibli theme park, but let's just quickly mention the Odd Taxi film, because you brought this to my attention, Kenny, and I completely forgot about it. I meant to put a post up about it too. So Odd Taxi, which was an original anime series last year, sort of a pseudo-crime thriller series about a taxi driver, really interesting ways that they've constructed all the shots and all that for it. It's getting a film project.
Great character writing. It was just like nothing I had seen before.
Yeah. This is a film that is a reconstruction of the TV series, but depicts what happens after the anime's finale as well.
Oh.
So it takes the story further.
Okay.
And that's what I want when I see an anime adaptation, a film adaptation of an anime. I want
it's
them
a recap?
add something. It's a recap and a continuation.
Right.
And that's what you want. You want it to if you're going to like what we've seen with Attack on Titan's collective films, they collect the information, but they don't really add anything.
Yeah.
So they're useful for if you want to catch up. But if you wanted to catch up, I'd watch the whole thing. That's me.
Some people need a quick primer or a good introduction, but showing something which is, what plus extra, that would definitely sucker me in.
Well, that's how Demon Slayer managed it with the Mugen Train arc. Because they went, we're adapting this into the TV series from the film.
And people were like, oh, but I've just seen the film.
And
why
they're
would
like,
I want
we're
to?
adding more. And okay, then.
Yep, I'm in.
I'm in. I mean, we did whinge and complain about that when it was first announced, but now that I've watched it, I'm like, I'm so glad I got to watch that again. But Odd Taxi, same sort of thing. They built a really good, solid core audience. It's really well rated. I think I suggested it in the first video I did on the YouTube channel as one of the sleepers to watch out for, and it's so good. Only aired for 13 episodes. Liger is playing with his Belle. If you can hear that jingling in the background, we certainly can. But the fact that they're adding more to depict what happens afterwards, that straight up makes me go, I need to see this. And it's sneaky and I love it. I would have been even happier if it was a sequel film, the whole thing, but
I feel like there were only a couple of unanswered questions by the end, but I don't know, showing where are they now kind of stuff would be pleasant. Almost.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we'll go to the topic which I think most of us are most excited about, because we all can't wait to be able to travel to Japan again. Japan's Studio Ghibli theme park is opening on November 1st. And it's not finished yet. That's going to be interesting. So it's in Aichi Prefecture, which is northwest, and they recently released a video, which I believe I shared to our social media, about how, kind of like showcasing the area, and in that was a picture and a location they go to, which is the house from My Neighbor Totoro. And I'm guessing that's the first area they finished building. So it's going to open, they previously said fall 2022 as the debut. The map for the area is massive. There's so much room for them to expand.
I saw some of the concept art for it way back when it was first being announced, and just one of the bits which I feel like it's almost wasteful, but it would absolutely work on me, is they have a cinema just playing Studio Ghibli movies all throughout. And it's just like, I'm at the park. I've seen the movies, which made me want to go to the park, but I could really watch Porco Rosso again.
Well, here's the thing. So Studio Ghibli have in their museum in Tokyo, have a load of exclusive films which only play there, including the sequel to My Neighbor Totoro. They're short films. So this one's like the journey of the cat bus and stuff like that.
I've seen bits, like concept art bits of it.
Exactly. Now, those are played on like a rotating schedule at the Ghibli Museum, and that's the only place you can see them. They're never released physically, never released digitally. It's to encourage people to have a unique experience when they go there. And I see them doing the same thing for the park.
Sinister, manipulative. I love it. Mm-hmm. We must go.
I wonder how far in advance you'd have to book.
Ooh,
well, this is the thing.
Yeah.
It's meant to be a theme park, but the way they talk about it is they don't really keep using the word theme. They keep using the word park, and I'm wondering how open access it's going to be.
Yeah,
it's going to be closed.
I didn't see too many like rides or
They want the
anything.
money.
Oh, they better be getting money. Like, give me that money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see many like rides, roller coasters or things like that to it. I think it's going to be very much more almost like an expansion of the museum in a way.
I think so too.
So I've just pulled up the article from 2017 when they announced it, and it was going to open in early 2020 originally. That was the planned date. Obviously, things have changed there. It's planning on opening a Ghibli park at a 200-hectare area in Aichi's Expo Park. The Expo Park is something where you can control the in and outs of all that. It's basically like our sort of showgrounds area that we have here in Perth. And there you go. There's a picture of the house.
Beautiful.
So cute.
It's gorgeous. And they've got a Ferris wheel there already, I guess. But one of the interesting things for the area is that it's massive. It's so big. And I think they say it's about 4 or 5 times the size of the current site they have for the Ghibli Museum. And that's not including the areas they haven't expanded into. And they've basically been given a free run of the park. If they say they want that area, they'll organise for it to be transformed.
Yeah, they've
showing...
got sort of like big open areas. I'm seeing ones called Youth Hill, which has House Moving Castle and... from On Poppy Hill kind of like locations, there's a big warehouse with sort of like a village inside it.
Yeah, so the warehouse isn't attached to any film. It's just literally the hub where there's going to be shops, there's going to be food.
Or what if it's hinting at a future film?
I mean, it could do. Oh. So you've got a section based on My Neighbor Totoro, which is the first to open. 2 more areas. One is the village in Mononoke.
Yeah, I'm looking at the map for it now. Like you said, there is... so much room for expansion and additional stuff.
They've got an area inspired by Kiki's Delivery Service and Howl's Moving Castle. And also the Youth Hill was... I can't remember what it was, the film. It was that really gorgeous 80s aesthetic one. The one where we see the girl on the train. I'm trying to remember it. I'm going to have to... I'll have to open the Googles.
On Poppy Hill?
No.
I think I mentioned that. When Marnie was here.
No. Oh, I can't even remember where I'm trying to go to either. It's so bad. I'm really good at like the technology
it's not like
things.
The Wind Rises or anything.
Oh.
The thing about doing the Kiki's Delivery Service one is like the big chief location.
Whisper of the Heart.
Oh, yes.
Because the Hill of Youth and there's the Hill Tower of Youth or whatever it is. So this one here, that's from words.
You're doing great today.
I'm doing. I
it
clearly
looks like
just
the Tower of
ran out
Terror.
steam. It does, doesn't it? So apparently that's an existing elevator that's at the area, and they're converting it because that's how you get down from the train station into the
Wait,
park.
so that was already there?
Yeah, but it doesn't look like it does in the pictures. It was just like a normal elevator block for ease of access and the stairs next to it.
So there was a random elevator block just in a field.
No, so right outside it,
That's some SCP stuff, man.
right outside it is the rail link.
Oh, okay.
So that's where the train stops. So if you wanted to go through the park before you go to the expo pavilions, you could. And that's the way to do ease of access for it. So they were like, well, we'll use the tower from that. And it's also got, I believe, like the witch's hut or the alchemy shop or something on the hill next to it, on the hill of
Yeah, I
Youth.
was going to say, like, the thing about Kiki's delivery service is, apart from the first bit, so much of the show takes place in, like, a huge, beautiful European city. And I was just like, how are you going to build that?
We just won't.
Yeah,
We gave
just
up.
Mostly be the shop, and I'm sure you can buy so many breads. All of the breads.
There we go. That's
Ooh, I
that's
could
the
go
plans
some
there
fresh
for the that's Kiki's delivery service. So they've done a small town, so there'll be like a main
Okay.
street, sort of like what you get at like a Disney park.
That looks
Yeah.
so bloody pleasant.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Let's load. We got to load these pictures on the socials.
Well, these are all on our social media. So if you head to the Facebook page, Instagram, or Twitter, we have all the pictures and maps loaded up.
Look at that artist rendition of like what an on-the-ground shot will look like.
That's beautiful.
It's so cute.
That's definitely the area that we literally been talking about with
wow.
Kiki's delivery service and with what do you call it?
Oh, they've got the cups.
what?
The cups.
There is like a little cup ride.
It's a cup
They've got a
ride.
cup ride.
And it's the cat going, look, Chi-Chi, it's me. Kiki, sorry, damn it.
Chi-Chi is, I've been watching too much Dragon Ball.
On the next Dragon Ball, a witch flies into a town and becomes a bakery assistant.
But look, Ghibli theme park opens November 1. Hopefully we're getting towards a point where, you know, things will wind down a bit with the pandemic and it becomes a bit more manageable. But, you know, knock on byproduct of wood, that something will... I'm just really hopeful things start to calm down a bit.
Me too.
I want to go back to... I want to go to Japan before I have kids. Still haven't gone. And I've been running an anime podcast for years. How embarrassing. But yes, so there's that. And last thing we want to quickly touch on as well is Cells at Work. Because Cells at Work's, all of its current mangas have come to an end. That includes the original Cells at Work Black, Cells at Work Platelets, Cells at Work Baby. And the latest one is going to be called Cells at Work Illegal. And it launches this week in Japan on February 1. And it's going to be...
What's illegal about it?
That's what we don't know.
Is it X-rated cell-on-cell actions?
Well, all I'm going to say is it's definitely going to be adult, as in Cells at Work Black, because they've used the same font
Right.
as Cells at Work Black. So my guess is it's going to be a criminal.
That checks out.
So illicit uses, maybe bodily injuries,
Like,
maybe the climax they can lose a limb or something.
Like taking a bullet or something.
Yeah. And then the bullet's still inside, and seeing that,
All the cells swarming around, going, "What is this?"
Yeah, quarantining it off. And...
I'd laugh if the bullet then has like a face. Hi, my name's Iron.
It's just the yell in a face from Attack on Titan.
Or like from Mario, you know?
Oh, Bill.
Yeah.
Yes. Look, if the people doing Cells at Work Illegal are listening to this, I doubt they are, but Bullet Bill needs to be the face of the bullet that eventually will strike this poor young fellow. That was the other thing I was saying to you, potentially like showing how the body reacts to getting a tattoo.
Yeah, it would
That'd be pretty
really
cool.
interesting.
So there's a lot that could be pretty interesting in this, and I'm really quite excited to see how it pans out, because I think like Cells at Work Platelets was cute, Cells at Work Baby was cute, but they didn't really have like a strong sort of like direction to their plot. It was just kind of a bit like with Baby, it's like, oh, here's what happens during the 9 months of gestation and then after birth.
Which, is fair enough on its own. This show is monumentally educational. Mm-hmm. I've met med students who have like watched a bit of it and say, dude, I wish I had this like when I started. This would have been perfect.
No, I've heard that as well. And they get there's a guy on YouTube who watches.
Yeah, I've seen that
the
guy.
doctor.
Yeah.
So having the show go from different aspects and showing the different health effects to different people that is great. And so I can definitely see the appeal of the Cells at Work baby one and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the illegal one, there's so many avenues you can explore there, like what drugs do to a system and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, they could even just do like basic things as well, like overexerting themselves, or like what happens when a body almost drowns.
Ooh.
You know, there's a lot of space.
There's a lot of dark stuff you could cover, but very, very, proper questions about the body.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really interested to see how they handle it. And I think, like, if, it Cells at Work Black is anything to go by, because that went absolutely bonkers when the anime came out. Like, it outrated normal Cells at Work.
Yeah.
I think this could be their next anime. Mm-hmm. So I'm really hopeful that this does do a good job. And as we said, so much for them to pull from. But yeah, and that's kind of the anime news in a nutshell, because, Anime Communique, it's what we do. Brains run out of juice.
Let's go get some brain juice.
I got my Red Bull here. I probably should have drank more of it.
Alrighty, shall we trundle on?
Mm-hmm.
Kawaii-Fi.
And that is where we're going to leave things for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Next time, I'm not quite sure what we're doing yet, because we're kind of distracted by pudding.
Yes.
So keep an eye out for that video. The episode all about Belle on our YouTube channel, our video about Belle, is worth a check out if you have seen the film and want to have a look at it from a more, I guess you could say, storytelling perspective and seeing how things work. So check that out if you've got a moment. Now, we're not sure what we'll do next time. It might be a back catalogue thing. We have joked about doing a dumpster diving episode.
There are some in like the lower reaches of my anime list's rating system that I am so intrigued, morbidly intrigued to look at.
I think it'd be interesting. We go, okay, anything rated between a 2 and a 3, let's go. We'll pick one, we'll watch it, we review it for an episode.
I will find one rated at a 1.
We'll be starting with Dragon Ball No.
Illegal content.
That's illegal content. That doesn't exist. What are you talking about? But if you have enjoyed what you've heard, we'd love for you to hit the subscribe button and use my words. Join us for future episodes.
If you've enjoyed what you've enjoyed, keep on enjoying it.
Yes. If you are listening over on YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe as well. On the note of YouTube, that monthly content is going to continue coming out. We are going to try and get a few more. We've got a plan, me, Kenny, and Aaron, called Kawaii Tries. And it is, it's going to be interesting, and that's going to be the first pudding video. We've also got a few restaurants who've got some interesting Japanese-style foods that we want to try out, so we're in talks with them at the moment.
Like, not just stuff that you can go and get at like a little izakaya, some of the proper traditional stuff.
Like, how do you make natto, like proper natto, outside of Japan? How do you get sea urchin outside of Japan for cooking, and what regulations are behind it?
It tastes like the ocean.
It does. It's literally a mouthful of salt. It's quite impressive. If you would like to support the channel so that we can do these things, we also have a Patreon. We share extra content such as episode outtakes, video extras, and show updates. And if you can afford to support us, it'd be greatly appreciated. Also sharing on there the development of the new studio, aka my new house.
There is a slab.
There is a slab. We haven't had a slab party, but that's mostly because of how hot it's been here. So
yeah, my goodness.
I can't wait for it to be winter again. I love winter.
Winter is coming.
If you'd like to join the Kawaii-Fi community, head over to our socials. All the links are in the episode description as well. You've been listening to Kawaii-Fi Radio. Thank you for joining us. And until next time,
Winter is coming!
No!